a scripture that I meditate on often is, when Paul says, love one another with genuine affection and make room, make allowance, make margin for the faults of others. And the truth is there's going to be a lot of faults in family dynamics and relationships. And not everything, sometimes, just because it annoys you doesn't mean it's sinful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are some things just because in family, people are wired in different ways where it's that's always going to be an ick for me. That's always going to annoy me when you say that or do that or act that way. But when you're making room and you're leaving doors open, you just learn how to brush those things off.
Yeah.
You learn how to be embracing of other people coming into the family. I think always lead with that. Lead with the embrace.
Hey guys, good day. I would say good morning because we record this in the morning, but I have no idea when you're actually watching it. Now, when we downloaded it, it is National Siblings Day. So I have invited some siblings to join us. But before we get to that, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to subscribe, click the bell, and because we're dropping a whole lot of new, you might say, resources, because our heart is to connect with you. It's to build community, because I believe with all of my heart that you are uniquely created by God for greatness, to do something of significance, and we just want to partner with you. We want to be a place, a channel, a podcast that is encouraging and inspiring. Our goal is not to tear a bunch of folks apart or tell you what's wrong with the rest of the world, but to truly be a partner to help you be everything that God's created you to be. That's the reason we wrote the book, which will be a year old in June. Hard to believe. Time comes and goes very, very quickly. But anyways, today is National Siblings Day, and I've invited a couple of siblings, not my siblings, but I've invited my children. My children. All but one. Bailey's under the weather today. She was going to be here.
We're down to one.
But we have
down to two.
Carson, Luke, and Tyler Holden. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for telling everybody my middle name.
Yes.
You don't like your middle name?
I do like my middle name. Most people can't pronounce it correctly.
Holden?
Or read it correctly. Yeah.
How
Well,
do you
because
spell
it's
it?
with a Y.
I know. I came up with that.
Yeah. It throws people off.
That's creative. Because normally, how would you spell it?
Holden.
Both of their middle names are fairly creative.
Yes.
And then mine is fairly bland.
It's a Bible name, though.
Luke.
It is a biblical name.
It is.
But yes, Steph came up with the first names. I got the second names. I'm trying to remember.
So if it was reversed, we would be Luke Carson, Holden Tyler, and Jade Bailey.
You know what's interesting? You call me by my middle name. Like,
Right.
Carson is rare that I hear you say. I've never heard him call you Holden.
Amber
he
sometimes calls me by my middle name.
And even Jade. I don't feel like I hear you say Jade.
No. But if you wrote a book, or when you write a book, you've written a book. When you publish your book,
Yes.
be Tyler H. Gramling.
Oh, that's good.
That sounds good.
That is
doesn't
good.
it?
It's
I picked
TH
that
or
up.
TH. T.H. Gramling to make it sound.
You then it's got to be a doctor. You got to be Dr. T.H. Gramling, because that sounds good. But if you're not a doctor, it's got to be Tyler H. Gramling.
I'll work on getting my doctorate.
That's it.
CIU.
You can do that at Centurion International University.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, excited about that. Anyways, today is National Siblings Day.
Yes.
So you guys are brothers. How much time separates you?
3 years. 3 years and
1 month.
so technically 2 years and like 11 months.
2 years.
Because I'll be 2 years.
2 years, 11 months,
Right.
4 days.
Because I turned 30 this month. You turn
30. No, I turned
30
33
33
in May. So 2
Correct.
years, 11 months, and 4 days.
So you're 32.
Mm-hmm.
30, so three. So right at 3 years. Wow. What's your first memory of
Carson.
Carson Luke? No, of Carson Luke on this National Siblings Day.
Man, that's hard. Because I don't feel like I remember anything before the age of maybe 6. So when I was 6, you were what, 3?
3.
I mean, I don't know. I remember
Luna's age.
I do remember him and his pacifier. I do remember vividly.
Do you?
No. But my son Silas he's getting a little tricky.
Attached.
He's getting a little tricky with it. He's kind of doing some.
He can
some
twirl
stuff
it
with
like
it.
you can?
Not quite twirl, but he's doing some
He's
interesting
still a
stuff
little
with
young.
I remember at like 3, 4 years old having that passy and twirling it, just constantly rotating it.
it.
No hands, just.
I was gifted from a young age. People might say.
Wow. All right. So you guys, so you grew up together. You went when Tyler started driving. You went to school together. What was the biggest challenge of going to school together?
Oh my gosh. Tyler was late every day. Every day he was late. Every day.
I can hear that banging on the table.
Goodness. I mean, it was very, and like didn't stress you out. Like if we were like, okay, there's 10 minutes. We lived close to school at the time when we went to the same high school. And we lived very close. So I don't know why I was so stressed out, but like if we weren't out the door with like 20 minutes left, I'm like, are we ready? Are we? And I don't know why. I did horrible in school. I don't know why it was so.
Why did it even matter?
I don't know. But that stressed me out.
Yes.
Yeah, I was not on time.
You would call
most days.
mom.
I think I know what stressed you out about. It's actually not driving to school, driving home from school. I would ask Tyler to stop and get food every day after school. And I remember him getting very annoyed.
And I don't know why I got so annoyed.
I don't know.
Well, you
Probably because it was every day and I wasn't paying.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
I was going to say probably because he didn't have any money.
No, I did not. Yeah.
Now, do you remember any? We don't have Bailey here, so you will have to take your word for it. But do y'all remember any disagreements with your sister?
I mean, the list goes on.
I mean, when you were at home and young. When you were home and young.
I remember. Do you remember when we took that family trip to Hawaii? And it was Mom and Dad's anniversary trip. I don't know why they brought the 3 of us. Now that I have kids, like I thank you. That was very kind and generous. I wouldn't do it. But do you remember they went out to dinner that night? We were all at the hotel and we were hungry. We were going to go get food. And do you remember Bailey would not leave the room because her hair was not
I don't remember that.
I remember getting in the biggest argument because we're like, well, we're going to get food. You can stay here. And I don't know what she expected, if she just wasn't going to leave the hotel room or she wanted us to wait until she did her hair, straightened it or curled it or whatever needed to be done to it. I remember that being a big thing.
Yeah.
You don't. You have no
I don't.
recollection.
But I can't think of a specific
It
scenario.
was probably
but
because
I
it was just me
remember-
and Bailey fighting.
I probably was.
Well, you and Bailey fight a lot because you and Bailey are very much alike.
Yeah.
very much alike. Yeah.
Yeah. Carson is the, what do you call it? The
middle child.
Yeah, well, he's the odd one out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys are very, very similar.
They're very they're very similar, but it makes them mad to tell them that they're like each other.
It does. It does. But yeah, no, I remember there being several fights because with Tyler,
Disagreements.
You're older. So there's always an aspect, not that we didn't fight, but there's always an aspect, you're older than me. Whereas Bailey's younger than me, but that same strong-willed, like, no, I know what's right. It was definitely difficult. It was just a struggle for me. You know what I mean? To survive this difficult household.
He needs counseling.
Share any of your, get it all off you now. Being National Sibling Day. Because I was the oldest.
Huh.
So I have 2 younger brothers
Yeah.
that are really close. I think 3 years between me and the youngest one. And we were all on the same basketball team in high school. I was a senior. My middle brother was a 10th grader, and my youngest brother was a 9th grader.
Now, when you guys would play basketball, because I mean, you were all on the same team then, but I assume you played basketball all the time together growing up. Like, would you coach them? Like being the oldest, like, would you no. You knew where that was going to go.
Yeah, I don't know. They might say something different, but I don't remember being bossy.
No. Just kind of let them do their thing.
Why we got?
I did hear the
response from the crowd right there.
Back
from the
cheap
audience.
seats.
Yes, the audience doesn't agree with that.
The peanut gallery.
But no, yeah. So what are some of the benefits of having siblings? Because some folks grow up in a home as a single person, or what would you call it?
Only child.
An only child, right? And they often wish that they had siblings. And so, what are some of those blessings?
I would say that a lot of the not that there are none when you're young, but a lot of the blessings of having siblings comes out more as everyone starts to age, becomes a little more mature, is able to work together a little bit better. I think that it's a huge blessing to just have people that are in your corner. You know what I mean? Not that they're always going to agree with you or always say you're right, but know that, okay, if something were to happen, I have people beyond just you and mom who are in my corner, who are batting for me. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying it feels that way when you're young, because of all the disagreements, as you said, and all that. But I think as you start to age, that bond starts to get a lot closer, to where, like I said, it's just hugely beneficial to have someone people who are always going to support, lift you up, and help you get through tough times.
That's good.
I was thinking, like I grew up with my two brothers. We all played sports, and yet we kind of all played together. I don't remember, we didn't have a lot of sometimes you hear about sibling rivalry. And, we didn't have a lot of that. And I know, it hasn't seemed like you guys, or Bailey have had a lot of that kind of competition, even though, you still live in the same city and you're both, along with Bailey, a part of the team here and grown up in the church. And, so there's always not just our family, but there's always the external eyes on you. You know what I mean? And, I like, especially when it comes to like ministry. And, a lot of times when people think about ministry, they think about speaking, even though ministry is a lot more than speaking.
Yeah.
But people tend to compare, speakers and personalities, and those kind of things. So what are some things that you have intentionally done to not let the enemy get in that area of y'all's lives?
For me, I think it was about 2 years ago, and in that quiet time, I really felt God whisper to my heart that He wants me to be a champion for the people that are around me. And so I get a lot of joy. I take a lot of pride in being able to be a champion for other people and to celebrate them as they pursue their dreams, to pray for them, to encourage them, to speak life over them, to show up to the ball games or to the speaking events or whatever it looks like. I think a big part of my calling is to be a champion for other people. And I think that begins right in your own backyard. For me, that begins at home. Any chance, if, Carson's teaching on the weekend, I'll sit in there 2, 3, sometimes all the services to help support and to cheer on and to, lead out with the amens and that's good. And, those types of things. I'll post about it on social media. I just think when you're too busy celebrating other people, there's no room for competition. So for me, a safeguard from my heart is, I made a commitment. I'm going to be a champion for the people that God brings into my life, that God places around me, including family. I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to honor them publicly, privately. So for me, that's a big way that I safeguard against that competitive spirit, or not that, some healthy competition is a good thing,
Right.
but when it comes to competition that makes you insecure, makes you, want to top someone else. For me, it's choosing to be a champion over competing.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up, because I was thinking not too long ago how it is interesting. Like we're both very competitive. And I think, even though Bailey's not as big on competition, when she was younger, she was competitive as well. And I think that never carried into, though, while we may be playing football and I want to win, you want to win, that never carried into, I want to do better than you in life, or I want to be the better son, or whatever it may be. And I think a lot of it is that decision to be, that intentional decision to just try and carry humility into the relationship. I think that while Tyler is, 2 years and 11 months older, which is not
and 4 days.
When you start, when you start getting into your 30s, like that doesn't feel like a large gap. But he's been doing what I want to do for much longer than I've been doing it. And so for me, it's never felt like a competition. It's more like a looking up to, like, that's what I want to be able to do. That's what I want to be able to accomplish. And I think, I think a lot of it, though, has to do with how you and Mom were. It didn't feel like one of us was, okay, well, I want to be in Tyler's position because he's the one who's getting the credit or the love or the affirmation or whatever it may be. It never felt that way. You know what I mean? Like, you guys did very intentional. It wasn't all even in the sense that, like, you did the exact same thing with all of us. But there was care and love given to each and every single one of us for different reasons. And so I think that kind of made us confident in ourselves of like, okay, I don't need to fight. Because I feel like most of the time you'd be fighting for love from a parent, right? Like that's really what you're striving for, is like, I want to be the better sibling. And I think that you guys just did a good job of kind of painting the picture that there didn't ever need to be that level of competition.
Oh, that's good. Because I think a lot of times, sadly, families get in that kind of, especially when it comes to business, if they're working together, or ministry, if they're working together and that kind of thing. And then, I think also it's one of the great benefits of being a Christ follower is if you get wrong attitudes or wrong mindsets, there's the Holy Spirit to kind of nudge you back into,
right,
where you need to be to stay as healthy as possible.
And it's interesting, we are in a series right now, kind of pretending that you're dead. And I was thinking, like, you hear about how families are torn apart, siblings, when mom or dad passes away, like, depending on what's on that will. And, like, it's crazy to think that, like, this moment just tearing a family apart. And I think it has, goes back to what you were talking about of kind of having this environment where there is a true relationship that kind of supersedes all that. You know what I mean? In the same way, that situation wouldn't tear apart me and my wife, wouldn't tear apart me and Tyler, or me and Bailey, or whoever it may be.
So your sister, who is quite a bit younger than you guys, is now married and has had her first child.
Yes.
So how easy was it to, because when you think about siblings, most of the folks who are listening to this or watching this probably have at least one in their family that's married or in a relationship. So how was it when it came to Bailey getting married? Was that easy? Did you have to, or how was that? Being a sister, especially, and being the youngest.
I mean, I think it was easy for me. I mean, definitely a little bit surreal because, me and Bailey, the age difference is a lot more than me and Carson. I'm 8 years older than her. So I remember the day that she was born. I remember her as a baby. And so that was like, oh, wow, we're at this stage where now the youngest is getting married and she got married and had her first child all within a year. So she's really the overachiever of the family, the bravest one. But I mean, no, I think she chose a great guy, a godly man. And that's, all that you can pray for your siblings is that they choose, because It's not, oh, I found the one. It's I choose the one.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful that she chose a godly man, a God-fearing man. And so for me, that brought me peace. I don't feel like I ever felt emotional about it,
Yeah.
other than just pride. Like, okay, she's beginning her life, and this is the next step in her journey.
Yeah. And I think that there's been a natural, since she was born, I mean, a natural understanding that she's going to do what she's going to do. Now, like you said, the benefit is she married a great guy. So it wasn't something that I felt the need, but she's always been, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And so I think, that kind of, you become accustomed to that of like, okay, she's going to do her and she'll learn from it. She'll move on. She'll get better. She'll, all those different things. But, I learned quickly with Bailey, my feedback might help after. It's not going to be incredibly helpful before, because of the way she's wired.
Yes. So, it's one thing for families, for you guys and Bailey to be able to get along, or me get along with my brothers. But then, as you get married, now you're inviting somebody else into that circle. You're joining another circle. What are some folks I'm sure that are listening or watching, they're about to go through that process. One of their siblings is maybe going to get married. And so now you've got a new person that's a part of the family. It's got their own personality and their own experiences and their own parents and all of that. What are some things that maybe you've learned along the way that you could share when it comes to, because a lot of times that's where the conflict can happen. It's like, I got to support my husband or I got to support my wife, and they don't get along with my brother or my sister or my parents. And then all of a sudden there's conflict.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is allowing room for people to address people as individuals and not as a group. What I see a lot of is like, okay, if I go and say something to Larry, I mean, I don't see this with them. I just mean in general with families, then it becomes a Bailey and Larry issue rather than, no, I'm talking to Larry. And while that's going to have an impact on the spouse or the kids or whoever it may be, I think at the end of the day, we all have to be able to have conversations as individuals, And so I think that it's important that you set an environment where while, because there was a season where Tyler and Amber were the direct boss to my wife. And so I need to be removed to a certain extent from, they may challenge her, and that's challenging Jess as the individual. You know what I mean? Or they, there might be a situation where she's in a meeting and they're talking about how they had to challenge me. She can't hang on to that. You know what I mean? Now I know it's also very different because we all work together in the same place as well. But I think it's important to allow, everyone's got to grow on their own terms. And I think that we have to allow people to be challenged and talked to as individuals rather than taking it all personal. Like this is an attack against our family, when in reality, it's just a conversation with my husband or with my wife or whoever it may be.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think always leave an open door. I think a lot of families get torn apart because people close a door.
Yeah.
They close a door. They cut off communication. They don't know how to sit down and have an honest conversation without living in offense and making it all about them and their feelings, their emotions. I just think a lot of it is leaving an open door. A scripture that I meditate on often is, when Paul says, love one another with genuine affection and make room, make allowance, make margin for the faults of others. And the truth is there's going to be a lot of faults in family dynamics and relationships. And not everything, sometimes, just because it annoys you doesn't mean it's sinful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are some things just because in family, people are wired in different ways where it's like, that's always going to be an ick for me. That's always going to annoy me when you say that or do that or act that way. But when you're making room and you're leaving doors open, you just learn how to brush those things off.
Yeah.
You learn how to be embracing of other people coming into the family. I think always lead with that. Lead with the embrace.
Yeah.
Don't especially if it's a situation where, you're, right after a sibling gets married and they're in that kind of awkward phase. Like, do I call your parents mom and dad? Like, do I hug like, how do I become part of this family? I would say lead with the embrace. Like, welcome them to the table. Let them know that there's a seat at the table. There's a place that's prepared, and their voice matters. And, different situations might have to be worked through, different problems. Address those as they come up. Don't let them fester. But I say lead with the embrace.
So, every family's kind of in a different situation. Our family is, you guys, you've had your first son. Tyler's got 2, and then Bailey has 1. So we got 2 boys and 2 girls. The oldest, Lion is a few years older. The rest of them are going to end up, they're going to, even with Lion, he's 6 years, so he's 5 years, let's say, older than the ones that are born now. I don't know how many are coming later, but so they're going to grow up around one another, plus whatever else is added along the way. And with that comes their own personalities and, their own things that they like and don't like and their own friends, and as long as we're all kind of in the same neighborhood, that, like I didn't grow up really around my cousins. Like I didn't really know my cousins. So me and my brothers, we had friends. We didn't necessarily have extended family that we hang out with or run with. But, your kids will probably do that on our side and the other side, depending on, how many other brothers and sisters and stuff there are. So it'll be a new challenge as far as intentionality, keeping, because now it's one thing if your spouse says, "Oh, Freddie hurt me," Now it's the little girl coming home saying, cousin Johnny, lied about me at school today or whatever, So it's going to take a new. Have you thought about that at all?
I have a little bit. I think that there's I almost feel like that goes into a parenting, idea of I can't hold so closely to the child that it causes rifts between people. You know what I mean? I think I have a benefit having worked in youth ministry for a long time. You realize, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they lie. They don't always tell you the truth. And no matter how good they are,
right?
They all will lie. And so I think that it gives an understanding of, okay, I'm not assuming my child's lying to me anytime they're talking to me. However, I can't allow something that could not even be true to cause a rift between a relationship that means a lot. You know what I mean? And so I think the biggest thing is something that you guys did with us, which, I don't remember you guys being the mediator often between the three of us. I mean, you definitely wouldn't let it get to a certain level, but I remember constantly hearing you say, they need to work it out. Like we've got to figure out the relationship. And so I think that there's an aspect that, between, like let's say Silas and Lion are playing together and Silas gets hurt or Lion gets hurt. It's like, y'all need to work it out. Like there's obviously something there. Y'all figure it out. You know what I mean? Like forcing them to figure it out, but allowing them to work through it, I think has worked out well for us. And so I would imagine it would work for the future generations of the Gramlings.
My plan is with the younger ones, we'll just make Lion the judge.
There you go.
He can hold the trial and determine who's guilty. He would love that. So.
Yeah, that he would. That he would.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
It's not good advice. Don't take that.
Well, I think, it's anytime relationships expand, it's an opportunity. It's opportunity, like you were saying earlier, to be, or I guess you were saying about having somebody have your back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you add a spouse, it's somebody else that can, have your back, and the same with cousins and kids, and the whole process of siblings. And
yeah.
I think it's important to do it the best that we can when they're young, so that as we get older, when we really need, we always need that support, but you have a lot more friends when you're young normally than as you get older.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that you have family that doesn't expect you to be perfect, but loves you anyway.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So anyways, thanks, guys. I hate that Bailey wasn't here.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't talk too bad about her.
No, not at all. That's for the after show.
Yeah.
Tune into that.
The bloopers.
I'm so glad you guys decided to tune in, and it is always our heart that you and your siblings, if you have any, get along and are able to make a positive difference in this world. Happy, was it National or International Sibling Day? If you were actually watching this on the day that we downloaded it, but thanks for tuning in. I hope you've been encouraged. If there's something we said that you think might help somebody else, all you gotta do is click the share button and pass it along. It makes a big difference in the algorithm and really could impact somebody's life in a positive way. We're always putting up new resources because we want to partner with you. I believe in you. The only reason we're here is to build a community, to inspire, encourage, challenge, so that you can experience the greatness for which you were created. So check it out. If you'd like to see some more of our teachings, you can go to Potential Church. All their handles are potentialchurch.com. They've got tons of biblical teachings over there as well. Again, thanks for tuning in today. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time right here on the Troy Gramling Podcast. Have a great day. Wait, before you go, if you're enjoying our content, check out this interview or this one here. They're both really good. And don't forget, subscribe. It's really important. We'll see you next time.